Supported by NHS England, NHS Select and UCL partners are running a series of webinars from January to March 2025 to support NHS trusts to plan and implement nitrous oxide waste mitigation activities. These are based on the nitrous oxide waste reduction toolkit, planned to launch early 2025. Welcome to part 2 of Understanding Nitrous Oxide in the NHS. This webinar is 15 minutes long and follows on from the information we shared in Understanding Nitrous Oxide in the NHS Part 1, the first webinar in this series. We recommend you watch Part 1 before Part 2 to better understand what nitrous oxide and nitrous oxide oxygen mixture, also known as gas and air, are, how they are supplied, why they are needed, and how waste occurs in the supply. In this webinar, we'll focus on how to tackle the problem of nitrous oxide waste. To do that, we will explain how to categorize each clinical area that uses nitrous oxide or nitrous oxide oxygen mixture into one of 3 types: an area that no longer uses the gas, areas with low use of the gas, and areas with high use of the gas. Then, we will share the recommended actions to take to reduce waste for each of these areas. We'll then share what's next in the webinar series to help you run your nitrous oxide and nitrous oxide oxygen mixture waste reduction work. To start to tackle the problem of nitrous oxide waste, the first step is to form a team. Supply and use of the gases involves a mix of different stakeholders: clinicians, procurement teams, estates and facilities teams, portering teams, and more. These stakeholders have specific knowledge and responsibilities in the process and will be crucial to involve when planning and making any changes. As a team, it is worth visiting the manifolds to see how the gas is supplied in a medical gas pipeline system and build a collective understanding of how things work. If you want to learn more about how trusts recommend setting up teams and establishing processes to get started, sign up to or watch a recording of the webinar called Getting Started on Reducing Nitrous Oxide Waste. After forming a team, the next step is to understand the current picture at your trust. What clinical areas use each gas? How is it supplied? What are the best actions to take? We are going to go through the basics now, but for more in-depth information, please sign up to or watch our recording of the webinar, Developing a Waste Mitigation Action Plan. To understand the current picture at your trust, the first thing to do is to know which clinical areas use each gas, how it's being supplied to them, and how much they use. There are 3 parts to this. The first is to identify all clinical areas, for example theatres or dental departments, that use these gases. The second is to find out which of them use a medical gas pipeline system or portable cylinder system to supply these gases. If they use a medical gas pipeline system, this step includes mapping out the system to understand which manifolds are supplying each clinical area. Often manifolds supply more than one clinical area. The third part is to then ask department leads how much nitrous oxide or nitrous oxide oxygen mixture is used in their clinical areas. For nitrous oxide oxygen mixture, this is more challenging, as in the areas it is commonly used and supplied by medical gas pipeline systems such as maternity departments, the gas is used for a majority of patients in a way that cannot easily be measured. Asking clinical staff how often the gas is used is a good indicator of how much gas needs to be supplied. The more clinical staff need the gas as part of patient care, the more that will be required. Taking these actions will help you know where the gases are used, how much they are used, and how they are supplied. In doing this, you will be able to classify if a clinical area is an area of no use, low use, or high use. The table contains descriptors of these categories alongside examples of clinical areas trusts have found fall into these categories. There may be others, or these may be different in your trust. Trusts who have run nitrous oxide waste reduction work have identified areas of no clinical use. These could be in areas that no longer use the gases but are still supplied by a medical gas pipeline system. Trusts have also found that some anaesthetic, emergency and endoscopy departments may have previously used one or more gases and no longer require them. Low clinical use areas are where nitrous oxide or nitrous oxide oxygen mixture may be used occasionally due to clinical or patient preferences. Trusts have found commonly these tend to be anaesthetics, emergency and endoscopy departments, in addition to some dental and maternity units. High clinical use areas are where nitrous oxide or nitrous oxide oxygen mixture is used in the delivery of care for the majority of patients. Trusts have found this to be the case for some pediatric and adult dental and maternity units. Categorizing clinical areas in this way will help you understand the recommended actions that may be taken in each case. The next few slides will outline the basic actions. For more detailed information, sign up to or watch a recording of the webinar Implementing Waste Mitigation Activities Outside of Maternity, or specifically for maternity, the webinar Implementing Waste Mitigation Activities Inside Maternity. In areas with no clinical use, trusts should decommission the medical gas pipeline system in areas where there's no clinical need for it. The future webinars in this series explain how to do this and how to navigate the associated engineering requirements. In areas with low clinical use, switching from a medical gas pipeline system to a portable cylinder system significantly reduces waste. Trusts should switch to a portable cylinder system proportional to clinical use, and then decommission the pipeline supply. Often the simplest option for a portable cylinder system is for small, portable cylinders to be set up on trolleys. These can be stored in a safe place and available for clinical use when needed. However, there are different types of portable cylinder systems dependent on the needs and requirements of each clinical area. For more information on each type of portable cylinder system, sign up to or watch a recording of the webinar Implementing Waste Mitigation Activities Outside of Maternity. Several trusts who have run nitrous oxide waste mitigation projects have found switching to a portable cylinder system and decommissioning of a medical gas pipeline system an effective way for reducing waste. Manchester University Foundation Trust saved 4.2 million litres of nitrous oxide and avoided 2,000 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent by doing this. Cambridge University Hospitals Foundation Trust saved 3 million litres of nitrous oxide and avoided 1,800 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent. Gloucestershire Hospitals Foundation Trust saved 1.4 million litres of nitrous oxide and avoided 770 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent. They also estimate savings of £11,800 due to this change. In all areas where nitrous oxide or nitrous oxide oxygen mixture use is high, significant opportunities do exist to reduce waste. While most waste reduction efforts to date have focused on areas with no or low clinical use, dedicated teams across the NHS are now trialling innovative approaches to tackle waste in high-use clinical settings, such as maternity units and paediatric dentistry. Options for waste reduction in high-use areas include the following: switching to a portable cylinder system and decommissioning a medical gas pipeline system, repositioning and resizing manifolds to minimize pipeline length in a medical gas pipeline system, optimizing existing medical gas pipeline systems by fixing leaks across pipelines and unplugging tubing when not in use. One or a combination of these recommendations can be taken. Retaining a medical gas pipeline system will require continuous checks and fixes to ensure leaks across the system are identified and fixed in a timely manner. No matter the action taken, effective management of cylinder stock will further be able to reduce waste and cost. For more detailed information on ways to continue to mitigate waste, sign up to or watch a recording of the webinar Continuing to Optimize Systems. Two trusts who have run maternity waste mitigation projects have taken different approaches. King's College Hospital Foundation Trust saved 6 million litres of nitrous oxide oxygen mixture and avoided 1,500 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent by implementing a portable cylinder system in a maternity unit. Hull University Teaching Hospitals Foundation Trust found that by unplugging demand valves and tubing when not in use in maternity, they saved 10.3 million litres of the gas and 2,600 tonnes of carbon dioxide equivalent. For more information on possible ways to reduce waste of nitrous oxide oxygen mixture in a maternity setting, sign up to or watch a recording of the webinar Implementing Waste Mitigation Activities Inside of Maternity. The previous slides have covered the recommended actions to take based on the categorization of clinical areas as no, low or high use. You can reduce waste, improve operational efficiency, generate cost savings, and decrease the environmental impact of nitrous oxide and nitrous oxide oxygen mixture by implementing these recommendations. At this point, it may be helpful to pause the screen and take the time to read these recommended actions, or come back to this table when you have collected data to understand the current picture at your trust and categorize clinical areas into areas of no, low, and high use. We'd like to finish this webinar by sharing all of the webinars coming up in this series. The webinars are open to all NHS staff. There are 10 webinars, including both pre-recorded and live sessions. See the screen for agendas and dates. There will also be 2 drop-in sessions available for general questions or challenges. The next webinar in the series covers getting started on reducing nitrous oxide waste. This includes how to assemble a team and who should be in it. You can sign up to this or any other webinars in the series. To sign up to the webinar series, scan the QR code on the screen. You will need to have an NHS email address in order to be able to attend the live webinars. Alternatively, visit the link on the screen to sign up. Thank you for watching.